promise to donate the $7 million of your divorce settlement to charity.
I made a pledge, and that pledge is made over time by its nature. And
when you say I donated, you know that everybody thinks that you've donated it. That was you getting caught in a lie.
After losing the defamation trial against her ex-husband, Amber Heard appeared in her first interview with Savannah Guthrie, and it made the headlines. Savannah asked her some very valid questions, and people have been looking at Heard's responses very closely. Let's see what has been going on this front. One thing that Amber Heard made abundantly clear is that she is never going to change her stance on what she said during the trial, as she said, quote, "To my dying day, I will stand by every word of my testimony," unquote. Amber Heard's feet were held to the fire during her Today sit-down with Savannah Guthrie, especially when it came to audio recordings in which she admitted to abusing ex-husband Johnny Depp. Guthrie grilled Heard over her claims that she was the victim of Depp's abuse, pointing to arguments his legal team made that the actress instigated the former couple's spats. Heard said, quote, "I never had to instigate it. I responded to it. When you're living in violence, it becomes normal, as I testified to. You have to adapt," unquote. But Guthrie pointed to the audio tapes in which Heard admitted to hitting Depp. Those recordings, captured as Heard and Depp discussed their explosive March 2015 Australia fight that resulted in Depp's right middle finger being severed at the tip, were played for the jury in April. Heard told her then-husband in the clip,
"And I watched you lie, and then I
didn't punch you,
and
by
then
the way. I'm sorry that I didn't
punched
hit you
me
across the face in a proper slap, but I was hitting you. It was not punching you. Babe, you're not punched.
No, when you fucking have a closed
You
fist."
didn't get punched. You got hit. I'm sorry I hit you like this, but I did not punch you. I did not fucking deck you. I fucking was hitting you.
You can't
I don't know
deck
what
me.
the motion of my actual hand was, but you're fine. I did not hurt you. I did not punch you. I was hitting you.
Despite what was said, Heard told Guthrie on Today that what was captured in those clips, quote, "was no evidence of what was happening. They were evidence of a negotiation of how to talk about that with your abuser," unquote. Guthrie kept at Heard though, quote, "I'm looking at a transcript where he says, 'You start physical fights,' and you said, 'I did start a physical fight. I can't say I won't start one again.' This is in black and white," she countered. "I understand context, but you testified you never started a physical fight, and here you are on tape saying you did." Heard responded, quote, "As I testified on the stand, when your life is at risk, not only will you take the blame for things that you shouldn't take the blame for, but when you're in an abusive dynamic, psychologically, emotionally, and physically, you don't have the resources that say you or I do with the luxury of saying, 'This is black and white,' because it's anything but when you're living in it," unquote. After the interview went on air, people started giving their 2 cents on how Heard did in the interview. Amber Heard's body language was decoded by a body language expert. In response to Guthrie's question if the verdict has, quote, "sunk in," Heard, after a brief pause, admitted that the feeling is, quote, "surreal." Speaking about the gesture, Jesus Enrique Rosas said, quote, "There is some smile in there, like she is trying to project that there is no big deal about this. I can overcome this. I'm stronger than this." He continued, "She is also squinting. That could be a bit of anger." He added, "She has shown quite a bit of signals. Right after she heard the first question, she looked away and down like she is trying to find words. We are used to seeing Amber going histrionic, so I do not want to look at the interview with that bias," unquote. When asked if she stands with her accusations against Johnny Depp, Heard responded, quote, "Of course, till my dying day," unquote. Speaking of this gesture, Jesus added, quote, "She says of course, but she swings her head from one side to another. Be careful with that. Most English-speaking countries have this trait where they use this gesture to emphasize the concept. Not always you are doing this and you are saying no. She might not be lying. It is not a contradiction," unquote. What's your take on Heard's responses to Guthrie's questions? Do leave your opinion in the comment box. And in order to stay updated, stay tuned.